Well, we're coming into the second week of October now. We're making our way from Wyoming down to the desert for the winter, as all good snowbirds do. Melanie's behind me in her little car. I am driving the van and hauling the trailer. Like with previous times I've hauled this trailer, we're running between 9 and 11 miles a gallon, so I guess 10's a pretty average mileage or fuel efficiency we're getting on this trip with the trailer. Of course, fuel is quite a bit more expensive now than when last time I hauled this thing back up north in February. But we're making our way across I-70 in Utah right now. We actually just stopped in Green River to fuel up because there's, from Green River going westbound, it's like, I think the sign said 102 or 106 miles or something to the next services. I do remember it being pretty sparse out here on our previous trips through. So fueled out to make sure we're not going to be trouble, since I'm only getting like 9 or 10 or 11 miles a gallon. So our first night of this trip, we've been on it for a few nights now. We left on it's Sunday as I'm recording this. We left on Wednesday. First night we stayed at a city park that allows overnight camping in eastern Wyoming. And then our second night, I've stayed there before. Our second night we stayed on some BLM land in south central Wyoming. I've been through that area before a couple times, but never camped there before. A lot of BLM land. It's interesting though, because even though there's a lot of BLM land, there's not a lot of places to camp. There are some BLM roads, not a lot of campsites or places to pull off and park though, and there are quite a few oil and gas wells out in that area. And of course then you do have the truck traffic that goes with the oil and gas industry. Though we did find a place to stay, it was the only place we could find to camp out of quite a few miles of BLM road we drove on out there. So we stayed there for one night and moved along. Cell service we had a little bit of Verizon, but it wasn't very good, and I did need to work, so we moved along. I ended up staying in the Rabbit Valley Wilderness in Colorado for 2 nights then, on the weekend, Friday night and Saturday night. We probably would have stayed there longer, except for, frankly, we just couldn't deal with the noise from off-road vehicles and dirt bikes and things, just really obnoxious. So cut that one short. There was some nice scenery around there though. Good at cell signal because we were not far from I-70. But we're making our way across 70 now. We're in Utah. I'm going to find somewhere hopefully a little quieter tonight to stay. But there's some nice scenery here along I-70. Even though it's an interstate, there is some nice, the mountains are pretty and stuff. So thought I'd record a quick clip here to show you where we were at. And just kind of an update on our travels so far. It's kind of a challenge, I find, every spring and fall, at least with the places I'm leaving from and going to. Where the places I'm going to in the desert, or leaving from in the desert, they tend to be getting pretty warm. And the places I'm heading to at higher elevations tend to often be still cold. So it's kind of like I might be dealing with cold and snow on one end and heat on the other end. So it can be a challenge to balance all of that out. Hopefully we'll pull it off pretty well this time. I know like this weekend it's been warmer than I would like. And when we were in Colorado there on the Colorado-Utah border, we were actually camped so close to Utah that we were in Colorado. We were so close to Utah, we actually took a walk and ended up walking to Utah. So we were not far from the Utah border, but it was pretty toasty there. It was only in the 70s, but the sun was really intense, so it felt hotter than that. So we'll see how it goes. It's quite warm. We're making our way towards Pahrump, Nevada, and it's quite warm down there. It was in the 90s there over the weekend, but it's still in the 80s for a while there. So we'll see how that goes. It looks like it'll be a bit later in October before it cools down into the 70s. I kind of gotten where I prefer 60s. You hear nomads and snowbirds talk about chasing 70. I chase 60. So. But, everybody's got their preferences. I have friends who chase 90s. So, all depends what works for you. But it is a challenge because it's often kind of too cold up north or at higher elevations, even in the middle of the country at higher elevations, and too hot in the desert. So it can be a trick finding spots that are sort of in between that'll work nicely. So as I'm recording this, it's Sunday, October 9th, making our way across Utah and towards the desert. So there'll be more updates. We have recorded a couple videos along this trip that you'll see too. some nice scenery from in Colorado and things. So keep an eye out for those coming up soon. Well, thanks for joining me for this video, everybody. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button if you have not already. Consider subscribing to the channel if you have not yet done so. So you can see up more travel-related content like this as we post. And we will catch you in the next video, everybody.